tokenize and fractionalize industrial grade real estate offers, essentially as an investment vehicle to get people into the space. If you look at wealth generation and wealth preservation, real estate is categorically a cornerstone of a well-rounded portfolio. Unfortunately, getting access to the kinds of deals that are worthwhile are incredibly difficult. They take numerous months, it need lawyers, they need underwriters, it needs insurance, and it also takes a lot of capital to be able to get into some of these deals. There's just a distinct lack of knowledge, and through lack of knowledge comes fear. And they look at crypto as what it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and blockchain the same, and that's just not where the space is anymore. It's progressed leaps and bounds, it's almost unrecognizable.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tech Talks with TFN, and I am Akansha Timri, the founder and editor-in-chief of Tech Funding News, and we have with us today a very interesting personality, that is Jack Lang, who's the head of marketing and growth at Metawealth, which is into tokenization and co-working spaces and Web3 and whatnot. I would ask Jack to explain me everything about that. But before that, how are you doing today, Jack?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
So could you tell us more about yourself and your experience, Jack, and how did you end up joining Metawealth?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the past, I'd been Web2 agencies. So I worked for all of kind of the larger holding companies. We're talking Group M's, the Publicises, the Omnicoms. I was in that world for a good probably 10 years.
And this was in London or around the world?
This was in London, yeah. So I was at a number of agencies from a very, very young age. An agency called Maxus took a punt on a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young boy at the age of like 19, which I was very fortunate for. Since then, I kind of started to learn about Web3, started to learn about crypto, started to learn about blockchain, and I was actually in an agency and a centralized wallet and exchange.
So you kind of had an interest in crypto space from a very beginning. That was 10 years ago, as I understand.
Oh God, it wasn't. I wasn't quite that early. There are some people that were that early, but it was just more of a personal interest. And then essentially a centralized exchange and wallet approached us, asked us to handle their marketing efforts across Europe. And fortunately, through myself, my agency won. And I saw an opportunity to bring something that I was personally passionate and interested in, and then my world of work together. So that's when I pivoted full bore into Web3. I've worked at
And this was which year?
Oh God, this was probably 5 years ago now, maybe, give or take, maybe a little bit more. Since joining then, I've worked at a Web3 agency, helping products and protocols launch. Probably more interestingly, I spent a bit of time working in sports and utilizing sports to bring people to Web3. So I worked with McLaren Formula One and Tezos, and I also worked with Cristiano Ronaldo's teams and Binance as a way of onboarding people into Web3, which was really, really fun. But now I'm with Metawealth.
That's lovely. And you were with the Solana blockchain hacking department is what I understand as well. That was pretty interesting part, which I heard off a conversation over here.
It's more of I'm a member of a UK group called Super Team. They're an on-the-ground, they're like an on-the-ground foundation for Solana, completely non-for-profit. Their aim is to onboard people to enable them to build, to earn and create on Solana ecosystem. Every 3 or 4 months, they'll host a hackathon where they bring together founders, they bring together creatives, they bring together artists, they bring together developers as a way to onboard them, help them bring to life businesses, get grants, get funding. And whilst I was attending one of these, I was helping various projects with their pitch efforts. One of the founders of Metawealth, Armour, was in the room at the time, and the marketing director, Arch, said, "You're looking for some marketing assistants, go meet Jack in the corner." And now here I am, sitting here with you talking about Metawealth. So it was a good story. Very, very appreciative of the Super Team and their efforts in the UK. They're really trying to push the fold for like crypto and blockchain adoption, making it mass market and bringing awareness to the space.
Yeah, I mean, you can meet the next opportunity in your life and the next challenge anywhere. So
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Tell me more about Metawealth. I have heard this interesting story behind the origin of the name.
Yes.
And also tell me about the founders. And also in layman terms, how would you explain what does Metawealth do? Yeah.
So Metawealth has three core founders, Darren, Michael, and Arma. Darren and Arma were together at university in Canada, but have since founded the company in Eastern Europe. And Michael, again, another Canadian, interestingly, was on a bike ride across Europe, found himself in Eastern Europe and decided to settle down, build a business and raise a family there. And together between the three of them, they've built Metawealth.
Oh wow, very cool founders.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really nice story. Essentially, Metawealth is an RWA platform, a real world asset platform. So as it stands, Metawealth specialize in real estate. We tokenize and fractionalize industrial grade real estate offers, essentially as an investment vehicle to get people into the space.
And why is it important? What is the difference it's making with that?
If you look at wealth generation and wealth preservation, real estate is categorically a cornerstone of a well-rounded portfolio. Unfortunately, getting access to the kinds of deals that are worthwhile are incredibly difficult. They take numerous months, it need lawyers, they need underwriters, it needs insurance, and it also takes a lot of capital to be able to get into some of these deals. Metawealth is here for the democratization of this process. We want to give the man on the street the same kind of access to the same sort of deals that are available to kind of higher net worth individuals, family offices, and investors. And that's like the ethos behind the business. So whereas previously you'd need a few $100,000 to get into kind of a deal behind potentially like a hotel expansion in a European city, through us and through tokenization, for as little as $100, you can get into a trade within 5-10 minutes from anywhere in the world. It's incredible.
Okay, so it's basically reducing the time and making it more efficient.
Absolutely, yeah. Reducing frictions, improving, getting rid of inefficiencies, to be honest, streamlining the process and democratizing the process. For me, that's one of the more important elements, to be honest. I think I've said multiple times before, like we're looking at the economy and we're looking at kind of young people's jobs prospects, and inequality has never been so high. And if we can go some way to help kind of like reduce the impact of that, then we're doing a good job, I think.
Also, the origin story you have to tell about how did the name come?
Oh, the name of Metawealth. Yeah, absolutely. So Arma, one of the original founders, he was a very early stage employee at Meta, pre-Zuckerberg acquisition. They were actually a healthcare research platform, like aggregator, and essentially Zuckerberg purchased them. They believe through the need to kind of like extend their research and further their mission. But slowly but surely they got compartmentalized downwards to just a name acquisition, essentially. He was incredibly angry at this fact. So when he founded this company, it was kind of like trying to say what to him, set up something new, something that will bring value around to kind of as many people as possible, and kind of relive that mission. But he wanted to retain some of the name where possible.
So that's why it's Metawealth.
That's
where the wealth comes.
Well, exactly. Yeah, there we go. That's the long-term plan, anyway.
Great. Tell us about your funding. And right now, is Metawealth looking for some seed investment or any news announcements that's coming up in terms of fundraising?
Yeah, so Metawealth are in a really unique position in that kind of since the first asset got listed, maybe a year and a half ago, we've been profitable, which has been great. And a large amount of the funding has actually come from like the three founding partners originally. As far as funding and requests are, we're going into a seed round for kind of a new foundation level approach for Metawealth. Essentially, we're looking to aggregate a wider RWA marketplace together as a way of kind of giving improved access and bringing liquidity to kind of a historically illiquid market. And then looking forward into Q1 2025, there may be a Series A round for Metawealth, just for kind of asset acquisition and growth. Growth is going really well for the company. New users are joining every day. I think we're onboarding investors from about 25 different countries right now. And we've got standing assets, so buildings that have been either fully funded and are revenue generating or are going to be within the next year and a half. Across 4 or 5 countries. I think the aim is to get to 7 by the end of the year, and in a year and a half, that's not bad.
That's great. And the round which is coming up, what is the amount you're looking at?
It's going to be a tranched approach, depending on kind of where we can, where it's going to get pushed to. We're just in a position now where we've got soft commits from a number of VCs across Europe and Asia, and we're just now looking for a lead, which should be hopefully happening sometime this week.
That's lovely, and congratulations for that. And I also want to understand that you recently expanded to UK. I remember TFN doing the story, and you are collaborating with co-working spaces over here. Or how is it? Can you explain me more about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Metawealth business is kind of very different to the first operation in the UK. So Metawealth wholeheartedly is an investment vehicle platform. We give access to kind of real estate deals all across Europe. The deal in London is unique. In that we were asked to partner on behalf of the Solana Foundation and Superteam UK to help facilitate the creation of the world's first tokenized co-working space. And it's going to be right here in London called The Square.
And where is that going to be?
It's going to be just right on the just outside Liverpool Street Station, really, like just down the road, slightly more towards Shoreditch. So right on the fintech capital of London, which is going to be a really nice place to be. We're going to be right on Pinnacle Square, so right next to Amazon and all of those guys that are sitting down that neck of the woods, which brings a lot of legitimacy to the space. We're really happy about. Essentially, through kind of our work, kind of trying to foster new startups in the Web3 blockchain space, we were seeing that whenever now I'm referring to the super team, whenever there was kind of a hackathon or like an activation or a hacker house happening, the buzz from the people of the UK has been wild. Like the number of businesses starting, the amount of grants being committed, the new projects being built was great. And essentially we identified that a more permanent base here in London would be really beneficial, not only for Web3 blockchain, but also the UK in general. The UK has kind of struggled on a macro level, I believe, from kind of reduced VC investment. We've seen flight of top tier talent to Eastern Europe, to Dubai, to the Middle East, to Southeast Asia. Just as they're kind of slightly more hospitable to Web3 blockchain development right now. Right now, the UK is kind of needs to improve its guardrails that it's put in place to give people structure to enable them to build like the next evolution of financial services in the UK. So we want to ensure that a lot of this talent, where possible, remains in the UK. So we decided to partner up with, or the foundation, alongside Superteam, wanted to partner up with us to bring about a tokenized co-working space to help kind of mitigate some of the negatives that are happening in that space.
That's super interesting, and I also feel that UK's market is very crowded when it comes to Web3 and crypto space. What is your take on that? And how is Metawealth planning to create a differentiation in that outlook?
I think the Web3 space, irrespective of where you are globally, has so much room to grow. We're seeing announcements from large industrial players across the board. You're seeing Visa and MasterCard making inroads in, PayPal launching a stable coin only a couple of weeks ago. These guys are paying attention because they realize like the next evolution of financial services are going to be built on the blockchain. You just have to look to the likes of JPM and BlackRock. Jamie Dimon talks around how tokenization is going to be the next $1 trillion industry. So as far as it being crowded, I think there's a lot of room for it to grow. However, right now, its growth is being somewhat stifled by lack of like clear regulation. And honestly, like inhospitability. I've done some work through kind of the foundation and through Superteam with the amazing work the guys at Stand Up for Crypto do in the UK, where they're here to kind of ultimately educate politicians and policymakers on the benefits of crypto, the changing face of the workforce. And that's in collaboration with a number of top tier UK universities. And what they're seeing when they're getting into the rooms with these people is there's just a distinct lack of knowledge, and through lack of knowledge becomes fear. They look at crypto as what it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and blockchain the same, and that's just not where the space is anymore. It's progressed leaps and bounds. It's almost unrecognizable, and the legitimacy being brought to the space is being done a discredit by people like not looking into it enough, I think.
Have you personally invested in crypto? I mean, it's a stupid question. But
I am definitely invested in crypto. I'm invested in blockchain technology.
Yeah.
I think like even just joining it as part of my career path for me was like a really important thing. When I was in my Web2 agency and I was looking for a new role, I was trying to decide where I wanted to go. I had applications out in the Web3 world and I had applications out in the Web2 world. I had a number of recruiters actively phone me up. They said, look, we really like you as a candidate, but can you remove the notion around crypto and blockchain off of your CV? Because to me, it shouts criminal and it's untrustworthy. And that shows me how far we've still got to come in terms of legitimizing the space. And unfortunately, it was harm done from within. So it's up to the people that are building like really cool stuff to push that to the forefront. But yes, me working here, I am also personally invested across a range of products and a range of different L1s, L2s, and everything and beyond. For me, it's a really fun space. It's part social as much as it is part for work.
yeah, I have invested as well. I did in
Yeah?
COVID.
Nice.
I mean, I would buy. I was just told that okay, invest the amount of money which you think you will go for shopping. So instead of buying a Louis Vuitton bag, just invest that in crypto.
And that is certainly a way to go. And as long as it's a legitimate product, then that's an interesting way to angle it.
Well, it's in loss right now. It grew at that time because there was a boom in the COVID. There was a time when crypto like really went up, and Coinbase and everyone was growing in stocks. I invested in Coinbase as well. Why am I telling this?
No, it's a very legitimate conversation to have, because the more people that open up around like a wider conversation around investing, like I feel like the better. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Georgia actually, and she was talking exactly the same conversations. Like, one, how do we get more people investing in their futures, whether that through traditional methods and ETFs and pension funds, but also how do we legitimize kind of like marginalized investors? How do we bring more women into the investment space? How do we bring people from other walks of life into the investment space? And the only way to do it is to actively be having these conversations and making it part of like the zeitgeist. And that's kind of one of the things that, like, one of the reasons I like working at Metawealth. I've got kind of two sides to the business. Half of our users are Web 2. They have no idea that we're kind of blockchain based. They have no idea that we're tied to the crypto world. And I like to call this is kind of like the quiet onboarding of the next like 1 million users. They have like a custodial wallet that sits with us, but the investment themselves and the interactions they have with the blockchain are kept to a minimum. You can know as much as you want to know, and we have education that's available. We also have the Web3 side of things, where our messaging is completely different. It's more, you've made money in crypto, or you're looking to dabble in a new area. Why not diversify your portfolio? Make sure it's healthy, safeguard yourself against the volatility that comes with investing in crypto and invested in the market. And if through us, you can invest in real estate, which is historically far less volatile. Capital appreciation is really, really strong. And then we also offer rental yields as well. So you can, if you're invested in one of our properties that is rental generating, you get paid every month into a wallet. I like to think of it as like a second payday, but these are the different modalities that are now existing as a way of getting into the space, which I think is personally very exciting beyond like pure speculation.
That's a lot of tips. Any tips for the crypto Web3 enthusiasts, founders and entrepreneurs who are looking to bring more interesting stuff into the market? Yeah.
I actually had this exact question posed to me. I was talking at Imperial College last week. Really, really great conversation with their entrepreneur society, and I had the exact same question. And I was like, if you're interested in the space and you're interested in like discovering different ways to work, I'd recommend just joining a local, on the ground blockchain community. Like, obviously I'm biased with Superteam and Solana, but I know that Sui Foundation, Base, Polkadot, they all have their own on the ground teams. turn up, go along, don't be scared that you're kind of going to be out of your depth in terms of knowledge if you're not a developer, if you're a founder, if you're creative, if you're non-technical. Go along, find someone building something cool and offer to assist. And you'll learn infinitely more than you would ever do in any other walk of life. I look back and, as I say, I've been working in crypto full-time for probably like 5 or 6 years now. I've learned more in those past few years than I have done almost the entirety of my working career before then. I've had more opportunities because it's so concentrated. The speed at which people are shipping, the speed at which the space is moving, and the speed in which things can get funding and investment is wild. So get yourself down to like a hackathon, start building, put your ideas out there, participate. Blockchain and Web3 is a completely different way of doing business than any way I've seen happen before. Anecdotally, I've got a very good friend of mine. He recently had a complete career transition path and went into brand design and UX UI design, and he was looking to pick up clients. I was like, mate, come down here. He's like, I don't know anything about Web3. I don't know anything about blockchain. I was like, come down, meet some interesting people. Something may come of it. He walked out of there with 4 new clients, and he's now fully into the Web3 space. He gets paid natively in tokens. And his number one feedback is like, I just love how collaborative it is. Nobody's competitive, nobody's cutthroat. It's like, if I'm building something and I know someone that could help you, I'm going to put you into a room with them, because a rising tide lifts all boats in Web3. And the more people building, the more people working, and the more people interested in it brings legitimacy to the space. And that can kind of only help.
Interesting. What are the diversity angles and initiatives that Metawealth is making to bring more, the thing that you highlighted, bring more different genders into Web3 space?
We're kind of like a full all access onto our platform. We do education, we do webinars, we do seminars. It's like, for us, as an investment platform, it's more about educating people around like wider investment and why you should diversify portfolios and why you should be looking to kind of shore up your future. As you look to kind of like the wider Web3 space, it's incredibly inclusive, it's incredibly diverse. There are great initiatives in place for kind of bringing marginalized communities or bringing women into the investment space or the dev space or the creative space. I'm not going to say anywhere's perfect. We've obviously still got a long way to go. And I feel like there's like a level of slack, because in reality, we've only been like a full legitimate industry for the last, 5, 6 years, 7 years tops maybe. So it is still early doors, and it still is all growing. But if you look to Web3 in terms of hiring practices, most teams are fully remote. You can work from almost anywhere. It doesn't matter what you worked on previously. It doesn't impact what you're going to work on in the future. I work with people whom have been completely undoxed. I still don't know their first and last names for their own personal privacy reasons. And in that, there is that brings like the ability to bring whoever you want to be to work. And in that, I think that's really interesting.
That's interesting. How interested are VCs in Web3 in the current market and the climate of investing?
I think very interested. Like Web3 for me, from what I take a barometer. I've got a large number of friends in VC finance, in PE, in mergers and acquisitions. A lot of traditional industries, I may be wrong here, but seem to be kind of either chugging along or kind of slowing down, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen out of the US president election. Exactly. With Web3, there is a level of that, but the conversations seem to be a lot easier to have. There are people willing to deploy capital. People are looking for legitimate projects to be brought to fruition. I think the way that projects are being judged is being kind of like looked at more holistically. But everyone from kind of like smaller scale VCs on the few $100,000 to $1 million are actively deploying capital, all the way up to the larger investors are turning up. You can have conversations with the A16Zs. You can have conversations with the Spartan Group guys. They're in the room, and they're looking for legitimate projects to fund right now. So I'd say it's very healthy. As long as you've got a good project, you've got a good founding team, and you can justify project market fit, there is capital available for you.
How big is Metawealth's team?
Metawealth's team, we're about 35 people right now. Yeah, we've had a few hires. just as we're looking to expand, it comes we've got expansion in our sales and our wealth management team. As I say, like our investors range anywhere from $100 for a single token all the way up to kind of family offices, industries and businesses that are asset rich looking to deploy capital. So those are a few $100,000 in a single transaction down to 100. We also have increased needs from marketing as we do market expansion, but also our asset identification team are going great guns as well. So these are the guys that go out, find the buildings we're looking to invest in, do the due diligence, make sure their developers are reputable, have got a good backseat of number of properties they're developed, make sure they're reputable, make sure they're producing high quality buildings, and then making sure that we can ultimately fill them with either residents or businesses to become revenue generating or ultimately to sell. So it's expansion across the whole business right now, which is really exciting. We're kind of starting to leave startup and fully into scale up, which is really exciting for me.
When was it founded?
First asset listed was maybe about a year and a half ago, so it was just a little bit before then.
Oh, that's lovely. It's a great growth trajectory, I would say.
It absolutely is, yeah. And honestly, we couldn't have done it without kind of some of the core partners that have helped us along the way. Like, huge shout out to the Solana Foundation. They give us a lot of assistance as far as kind of like helping us meet partners in the space and putting us in connections with other RWA players, but also down to like the local activation teams, like the guys from Super Team. You need to meet a VC, they'll be there to assist. You need some content creating, they have a creative guild that can assist you. And it's kind of the beauty of being in the space that we're in, that everybody's there looking to support, and that is helping us facilitate growth as quickly as we're ultimately seeing it.
Oh, lovely. So it was, I think I've covered everything, and I think there is so much in Web3 and crypto and tokenization to explore that Metawealth would have a lot of new offerings. Are there any new products that you're coming up with you would like to talk about?
There's always something new coming up with us. I feel like we're announcing something.
Because I remember you mentioned something.
Yeah, there's always something we're newly announcing. I mean, our last push over the last couple of weeks has solely been the Square. Like, the world's first tokenized co-working space is huge. We've got a number of like flagstone partners that we're looking to onboard recently, but we're also open to kind of any new projects that want to help like bring this vision to life. Like, the wider vision is far grander than what people have already seen. Unfortunately, there's only so much I can say about that, but I would recommend, if you have any interest in getting amongst some of like the leading fintech talent, check out the Square and check out opportunities that are around that. As we look forward, our asset list is growing. As I say, we're about halfway sold an asset in downtown Athens in Greece, which is Urban City 44. After that, it's looking like further expansion over Europe, and then potentially into the Middle East and Southeast Asia, yet to be seen. But that's something we're really, really excited about, just really bringing that diversification of the portfolio that we can ultimately bring. And then longer term vision, it's going to be around like a unified RWA marketplace that we're working on with a whole host of partners, looking to kind of bring liquidity to the RWA space, whether that be through gold or T-bills or oil and gas or agriculture. There are people building in the space that we're looking to bring together to unify liquidity and also offer liquidity to investors as well, and offer ultimately the more degenerate DeFi angle as well, which is always a lot of fun.
Great talking to you, Chad. Thank you for your time. And I hope everyone enjoyed everything that Jack has to share about Metawealth and all the exciting things they're doing. And thank you for joining Tech Talks with TFN with me, that is Akansha Dimri, the founder and editor-chief of Tech Funding News. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe and comment and get in touch with all of us. Thank you so much. I'll come back with another episode of our video series. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.